We are live today on the floor of ITS America here in Detroit, and I have to say that this conference feels particularly electric. I'm Selika Talbott with the Transportation Channel, and today I'm sitting down with the founder of Miovision, Kurtis McBride, as well as Lyne Jacques. Welcome to the show, and it's a pleasure to have you here with us today. Kurtis, we know that you're the founder of the company, and if you could give us just a little bit about your background, and then Lyne, of course, I'd like to introduce the audience to you as well.
Yeah. We started Miovision about 20 years ago. It took 21 years actually this July, and we've been focused really from the beginning on trying to apply technologies and business models proven out in other markets to solving traffic problems. And we've grown to be the world leader in data and analytics. We have customers in almost 70 countries now, with about 500 employees that are all over the world. So I always say anywhere people are, traffic's a problem, then that's our market.
Then you're everywhere. Lyne, pleasure to have you with us.
Nice to meet you as well. Lyne, I'm the Chief Revenue Officer. I'm also helping Kurtis with operation for Miovision. I've been with Miovision for almost 5 years now. It has been an amazing journey. We're trying to change the world one intersection at a time.
I love that. And Detroit, I have to acknowledge again the energy that we feel in this room. It's like no other city when it comes to the relationship with transportation. Going back 100 years now, it feels pretty significant that we're here today. Does it feel that way to you? Does the floor feel electric to you at this conference?
Oh, absolutely. We actually have a long history with the city of Detroit. We started working with them over a decade ago. And when we started working with them, they came to us with, had no connectivity, limited sensor deployments, and they were looking to sort of leapfrog a generation and get modern. And now we have basically 100% of the traffic signals connected in Detroit. They're one of the most connected, most censored cities in the United States now. And they've been on this journey with us every step of the way. Every time we have some new crazy idea that we want to bring innovation to the market, they're always the ones to put their hands up. And so I can't think of a better place to have ITS America this year.
Well, then I think it's appropriate to continue this conversation here in Detroit. Miovision has staked out a really distinct philosophy: infrastructure first. At a moment where we have autonomous vehicles and all this highly assisted technology, why does that framing matter, that it's infrastructure first? And what should cities be investing in today?
Yeah, I think vehicles are becoming essentially computers on wheels. There's a demand for data in the vehicles, but the cost structure. If you think of an autonomous vehicle, it's got to bring all of its own sensors, all of its own compute, all of its own batteries to power those things. And so as a result, the vehicles that are achieving autonomy are quite expensive to drive. So our view is that, while that's great and they're certainly paving the way for autonomy, the future, if you want to get to an affordable level 5 autonomy vehicle, has to be a hybrid between the vehicle and the infrastructure. The infrastructure has to be sharing data. And intersections are one of the more complicated parts of the network. So if you imagine a future where the intersection is sharing data about the types of objects, vehicles, humans, that are cyclists that are moving through it, to allow level 5 vehicles to traverse the intersection safely. We think that allows you to cost share the cost of sensors and compute into the infrastructure back to the vehicle in a way that enables level 5 autonomy to be more affordable. So we think that the intersection has to evolve and has to become a lot more smart, a lot more censored, and we're trying to lead the way on that front.
I think you're doing that. The infrastructure argument is frankly strengthened when you look at where agencies actually stand right now. So Lyne, your team just released data that tells a sobering story when it comes to readiness. Miovision's 2026 State of Intelligent Mobility Report says that 38% of American agencies are mid-stage in transformational digital transformation, while 24% have no flow plans at all. What surprised you most about these findings, and what does that gap mean for the industry as a whole?
I would say the gap has also an influence on the productivity of the country as a whole, right? If you think about the fact that connecting intersection is critical to improve safety by enabling emergency vehicle to go faster to an accident, but also enable goods and services to go faster to their final destination. There's a whole productivity and security and safety play that I would say the government can do in US. And I was a bit shocked by the numbers because I felt that there's so much to do. But what I like though is I would say there's more and more grant and funding program to support cities to enable them to connect their intersection and start to get into the digital world. So I'm confident that we're going to get there, and I'm confident that United States is very well positioned to maintain its leadership in terms of digital and intelligent transportation. Not just by innovating with cars, but also by innovating with infrastructure.
I hear this word partnership in the back of what you're both saying.
Yes, absolutely.
So, speaking of partnerships, you have a TomTom partnership that went from 60,000 to 300,000 intersections. It's mind-blowing to think of that scale. So clearly there's a gap, and the gap is real. But Miovision in particular is moving really fast to close that. One of the most significant announcements out of this industry recently is this partnership that dramatically changes your footprint. So, what does scale look like in terms of unlocking cities? And for your platform in particular, we'll talk about the future of infrastructure and transportation.
I think in this industry, we're all lots of companies like Miovision and competitors we're already always releasing new features and functions. But the features and functions we release are only useful if they're deployed at scale. So a lot of our focus is on how do we architect products that are not just designed to have impact on one intersection in the city, and not even just on the whole network in a city, but how do we think about national impact is a big part of how we think about it. So we try to think about, instead of thinking about a network, a corridor, an intersection, how do we think about 300,000 intersections all at once? So partnerships like the one you mentioned with TomTom, there's some other ones we're going to announce at this show as well. Increasingly is about, we generate lots of our own data from the intersection. How do we augment the generation of data that other folks have that might be generating it for a completely different use case, and bring that all together into a common platform that allows you to generate insights that allow you to actually solve problems for citizens at a national scale.
Thank you for that. I think as a nation, particularly, maybe even globally, we are all learning more and more about AI. And of course, this constant question in the background is AI and whether people and or agencies can trust that AI. So you have the Gen AI agent operating at scale.
Yep.
It does raise an important question. Agencies are asking this, boardrooms are asking this, city council meetings are asking this. Can it be trusted? And so I know you've been thinking and have thought long and hard about some of these new technologies that you're innovating with. How does Miovision deploy AI in a way that builds trust with the public sector, particularly where safety is concerned?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I would say, like with any tool, you should trust but verify, right? It doesn't matter what software product you're using or hardware product you're using. The human being is ultimately the one responsible and should ultimately be has the most expertise. And so I think anytime we use AI in our own business or with Mateo, with enabling customers, don't just blindly trust it for everything. Use your own intuition, your own judgment to use the tools. Now, that said, the way to think about we call it agentics, but AI tools that our customers are using. There's two aspects to it. So one aspect is a large language model, right? And these models are getting smarter. Like it seems like these days, every 4 to 6 weeks, the models take a huge leap forward in terms of their capability. But then the other part of it is the models are only book smart. They read every textbook about traffic engineering, but they have no idea what's going on a specific intersection in a specific city. And that's where the richness of the data that you feed into the models becomes critical. And that's where Miovision comes in. Like we have for more than a decade been the trusted source of accurate traffic data used for congestion reduction, used for safety, for operations improvement. So now taking the data and the brand of trust that we've built and hard fought and won over more than a decade, combining that data with these large language models is what's enabling products like Mateo. So don't blindly trust it, but you can trust a Miovision agentic system in large part because you trust the data that underpins it.
Data is king, as they like to say.
Yeah, and the way we're marketing this and we're very careful. We need to use data as an assistant for decision making, right? So we're trying also to educate the cities on how to use AI in a very safe way. It's part of the new reality.
I love that you're marrying the reality of the human interaction along with
Yes.
this rich data and then coupling it with artificial intelligence and clearly getting the best product possible at all of that. Let's turn a little bit and talk about acquisitions. It seems to be a platform strategy.
Yep.
So we're building trust. It means having the right capabilities on the platform.
So I wager 18.
Look at how you've grown as a company. Not everything comes from inside the
I
building.
should have wagered.
How do you think about M&A as a
And my answer is,
building the Miovision One platform
what is shared data?
versus capabilities being developed sort of organically?
Yeah. So I mean, we pride ourselves on like we're one of, if not the fastest growing organic growing business in the market. But at the same time, it takes a long time to build expertise in all of the diverse spaces that go on in this industry. So we did 6 acquisitions so far, and we call our acquisition strategy Project Bingo Card. And the idea with Project Bingo Card is there's a series of, in order to build a platform and a whole product, there's a series of market segments that we want to be able to integrate into one common experience. So traditionally, in this market, you'd buy, this particular capability from one vendor, another capability from a different vendor, and you'd end up with a whole bunch of different pieces of hardware doing lots of different things. So our strategy was, let's build one smart piece of hardware and let's integrate software capabilities onto it that allows for all the things that a city wants to do at an intersection to happen in one, what we call the smartphone of the intersection. So Project Bingo Card was going out and finding for each of those market segments we identified, who's the best in class company that we can partner with or acquire, integrate them into that platform strategy, and provide that whole product. And we did our last acquisition was about 2.5 years ago, and we've now basically finished the integration of all of those different components. And so now when you go into Miovision One, it's got it's like a one-stop shop for all the major things that you want to do at an intersection.
You've certainly thought it out carefully, and we can see that the end product and result is helping cities and states across the country and, frankly, the world, right?
Yep.
I want to talk about funding for a minute. Nothing happens without money, right? And the funding landscape has shifted reading the State of Intelligent Mobility report, Lynn, it says that 54% of agencies are relying on federal grants to fund intelligent mobility investments. How should agencies approach funding as this landscape is shifting?
Yeah, so what I will say is that we're working very closely with our customer to build a roadmap to help them and support them in their strategy to upgrade their infrastructure. So the approach to funding is a partnership approach. And for us, we're always willing to help them write grants, help them build a strategy, help them find the funding they need. Because we believe that if we want to have safe cities and safe streets, it's important to be more proactive than just like trying to get more business, right? So for us, we see that as a very good opportunity to build a long-standing partnership with our customer and work together hands in hands to get the proper funding needed in order for them to realize their projects.
You know, when we think about funding, particularly the conversation that we're having right now about agencies across the United States, these are very local challenges, but Miovision is anything but a local company. You're operating in 60 countries, I believe. So the story of how you got there, I think, is something that is worth telling for viewers. How was this possible? How did you create this? I think helps get us where we are now, and certainly helps to spur along all this new technology that is frankly going to power the future.
Yeah, I mean, like I said in my opening remarks, you know, wherever there's people, there's traffic problems, and wherever there's traffic problems, that's our market. So I think we've always looked at the world as the opportunity. Like there's traffic problems everywhere. You know, that's where we should be. I think, you know, a big part of how we innovate is we relentlessly focus on the customer. So like it's amazing if you just ask the customer, what's your biggest problem, and then you solve that problem, they'll bring you more problems. They have a never-ending supply of problems, and if you demonstrate you know, a really rapid cycle time from, you know, telling me you had a problem to fixing a problem, they keep bringing you more problems, and this is how we've grown. And yeah, whether it's you know, North America where we got our start, we've had an office in Europe and Germany for more than 10 years that we've grown. We have folks in the Middle East, we have folks in Mexico and in Southeast Asia. But yeah, just that relentless focus on customer and trying to speed up the time from hearing an idea, you know, hearing the customer's problem they're trying to solve, to solving it for them. The more you do that, the more problems they want to bring you.
So I guess that's what has allowed you to scale the company globally without losing what makes the company tick.
Yeah, I mean, it's every time, you know, culture's why we win. That's another thing I say a lot. And, you know, at almost 500 people now, like how you do culture when you're 10 people in a small room is different than when you're 100, and it's certainly different when you're 500. But we're always trying to think about how do we, as we grow, how do we maintain that relentless customer focus, you know, and make sure that, you know, even if we're 5,000 people, that's still at the core of what we're all about.
And we're investing a lot in customer experience. We are true believer of customer first mentality. So we have a lot of support for our customer, not only on the grant writing, as I've mentioned, but also on supporting their journey with Miovision solutions and services and making sure that their level of satisfaction remains high.
Customer is king.
Absolutely.
So let's just bring it full circle, right? This is Detroit. We sort of were the birthplace of the vehicle and the future of American cities, and how it looks like is happening here in Detroit. We're reporting at Detroit ITS America. the city has been able to reinvent itself time and time again and sits at where the future of transportation is going. What does success look like for American cities, let's say 5 years? And what would Miovision's role be in getting cities there?
I think, the world is digitizing rapidly, and we talked about artificial intelligence earlier. Like this, I've been around my whole career. I've the speed that I'm right now in terms of how it's changing. So I think it'd be very important for whether it's or if they want to be able to get the level of that citizens are going to expect, it's really critical that we be able to connect the data towards our cities, right? Like whether it's volumes for a city, safety, all of it can be, if you can do something, you can improve it. For the first time in history, that improvement is now growing rate, but getting to the point where you can measure so that the things that allow it to be can be that measurement. It's becoming more and more. So we talk about customers. We're also focused on we make it increasingly accessible, affordable for us to deploy these things. Understanding pedestrian safety issues, intersections, great. Understanding you have it at 100 intersections is the goal. So whether it's helping them with funding or just innovating product in our business model to make it more accessible, to enable that connection, to then enable that improvement at scale that's what we're focused on, and that's what we'll be focused on until we both retire. So
I don't know if retirement is in your future. Kurtis and Lyne, this is exactly the kind of conversation we should be having at ITS America. Grounded, honest, clear. We know what the work is ahead, and we're looking forward to all of those accomplishments. Thank you all for taking the time to watch the Transportation Channel. For everyone listening and watching, find Miovision here at ITS America. They have a fabulous booth, and we'll have links in the show so that you can find the rest of this interview. I'm Selika Talbott. Stay curious, stay moving. Thank you.